Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Last week I invited all of you to submit your questions for a Destiny 2 Q&A. In yesterday's video we went over the first batch of questions, so if you haven't had a chance to watch that, I'll leave a link to it in the description. For this video we're going to jump into answering more of those questions, and since we only went over 4 or 5 of the questions in the last video, I'm going to go ahead and get more of them in this one and answer them sort of a little bit more rapid fire so we can get through more of those questions. But if I do touch on a topic that you'd like to see me dive deeper into, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to see if I can do a dedicated video on that topic. But anyways, let's jump into part 2 of the Destiny 2 pre-beta Q&A. Again, for this video, we're watching the 60 frame per second 4K footage of the PC version of the Homecoming story mission. If you would like to watch this full video without my ramblings, head on over to Will Silva's channel. He was kind enough to provide me with the footage, so I'll leave a link to his channel down below. Also, a huge thanks to my new sponsor, lootcrate.com. You can save 10% on a new subscription by visiting www.trylootcrate.com/futurefoe and enter code BRIDGE10 to get 10% off. Stick around to the end of the video to learn more. But anyways, continuing on to your questions, we start with, are we not going to talk about the fact that there is only 2 Crucible playlists? What happened to choosing the game mode you want? And what about the modes like Mayhem and Combined Arms? Those are my 2 favorite D1 playlists. I hope Bungie doesn't leave all of these game modes out in D2. So yeah, if you're not aware, this is referring to the new style of the Crucible where there's really only going to be 2 playlists to choose from, one casual, one competitive. The casual playlist is going to include Control, Clash, and Supremacy, and the competitive playlist is going to include Countdown and a new mysterious game mode that they have yet to announce. And that is going to be it. There's no Rumble, there's no Combined Arms, there's no signs of Mayhem, so I really do think they're going to reintroduce Mayhem. I don't know if it's going to be inside of launch window. I would love to see it. It's not going to be as chaotic as it was in Destiny 1 simply because of the 4v4. Honestly, they probably didn't have time to finish everything. The increased recharge rate of abilities during Mayhem might prove challenging with the new class abilities thrown into the mix, and Combined Arms might be a lot different now because they have to think about things like tanks. So I wouldn't rule them out, but I wouldn't put up any hope for them being there at launch. But getting to the root of your question about the 2 different playlists, that's actually a fantastic move. I've done a lot of comparisons to Overwatch lately, and this is no exception. I think Overwatch has 3 game modes, and they're all inside of the same playlist, so you might play a payload map, you might play a hybrid, or you might play a control point. Now, it's going to help you with variety because the maps are now designed around the game modes, and it's also going to help with matchmaking because the entire population of the game is going to be inside of 2 playlists. And for the most part, I don't think too many people are super big on Skirmish and Rumble. I know you're going to tell me that you are down below, but those are the least populated playlists, and they're not going to be game modes inside of Destiny 2, so I think that Quick Play playlist is going to be just fine. Control, Supremacy, and Clash are sort of very similar game modes, so I don't think too many people are going to really complain. I'm also very eager to find out how Supremacy is going to work with the new 4v4 system and the lower time to kill. So I have 2 thoughts, one being Destiny 2 isn't out yet, about 3 months out, and maybe they would like to keep ranked playlists hush-hush to not give everything away. Maybe they have some special ideas or new ideas for it and don't want to give those away until the game is out. Secondly, the Osiris DLC, what if they ship ranked Crucible modes or game types or something along those lines as part of the expansion? Well, Bryce, I think you might have hit the nail on the head. If their new guided game system is any indication, Bungie is probably developing their own version of what a ranked playlist might be. It might also be combined with the new Trials mode. They did say that Trials and Iron Banner are going to return in unexpected ways, so it's possible that ranked is going to play into that somehow. And Mark Noseworthy has mentioned that they are going to have a Trials mode inside the launch window before the first DLC. I think if they're going to have a ranked mode, it's really imperative that they have it as close to launch as possible. Alright, so let's jam through a few more of these. Do you think each of the Foundry weapons will be more unique like they are in Borderlands? An example being how Hyperion weapons grow more accurate the longer they're fired, or how Molly 1 weapons are always elemental. In short, I think the answer might actually be yes. Of course, we know the weapons have their own unique look and feel between foundries, like Suros behaves very differently than Omelon than Haka, and now we have Vite into the mix, which is very unique, and from the sounds of it, we might actually have set perks for specific weapons, so this might be going down that trajectory. I'll expand on what that really means in a dedicated video, but in short, yes, I do think that is going to be what happens. Or if not, I think we'll see like Foundry branded mods. What do you think about the new way the weapon types are grouped up? I think it makes sense. On one hand, the shotguns, fusion rifles, and snipers all have power to one-shot people, but I also feel like this is PvE paying for the PvP mistake once again. What is your take on this? Well, number one, I don't think this is the case. Yes, Crucible balancing definitely did play a part in this decision, but I don't think it was made because of it. Number two, and this is the reason that I think it's going to actually work out just fine, is the fact that this wasn't Luke Smith's idea, and the Sandbox team had to convince him. That means that Luke Smith played this version a lot, and was convinced just from playing it that this was a fantastic direction to go into. We're always talking about how they're balancing PvP, but we never talk about balancing PvE, and I strongly believe that they're going to be balancing PvE to compensate for this new system. Not only is Destiny a PvE first game, but it is also a game that is always trying to make you feel like a badass. They're not going to sacrifice that for the main part of the experience. Do you think that swords will be in the energy slot? Now, while this question seems like it might have an obvious answer, which is that the swords will most likely be in the power slot, it has not been 100% confirmed. But having said that, I really do think it is going to be in the power slot, but there might be exceptions. There might be an exotic that puts it in the kinetic slot. I think that would be really cool. Do you think Bungie is holding back the Xbox One X power to please Sony? No, I think they're doing it so the console versions are both the same. Having the Xbox version better than the PS4 version or vice versa is absolutely going to divide and disrupt the community. PC doesn't factor in because it's expected that PC will always be running better because you control the hardware. But the last thing Bungie needs is one version of the game to be far superior in the console space. So regardless of whether or not it actually is because of that, that's business. Most people don't even know what 60 frames per second even means. So ultimately, right now, it's not as important as it being in 4K. So they've decided to put all their eggs in the 4K basket. Apparently their engine is very CPU intensive, and that is what's holding it back on the PS4 Pro. So until they get it on 60 frames for both consoles, I don't think we'll see it on either one. Why don't they ever have Xbox exclusive stuff? That's my only question. Well, what we're not remembering here is that the reason we have Sony exclusive stuff is that because Sony is paying Bungie a lot of money for it. And that's not to mention all of the free press that Sony will be giving the game. So will we ever see Xbox exclusive items? I wouldn't hold my breath. If that's really important to you, it might be worth your time to save up for a PS4. For me, I couldn't care less. I'm going to be playing the game on PS4 Pro, but the first chance I get, I'm going to be switching to PC, which doesn't have the exclusives, because they're really not that amazing. It does suck that you get that feeling of being left out, but I assure you, as someone who is playing Destiny 1 on PS4, the exclusives are not that amazing. And plus, the exotic sniper rifle is in the power slot. There's going to be plenty of other guns that you would rather have in that slot, I guarantee it. Anyways, that brings us to the end of the video. Thanks again for submitting your questions. If I didn't get a chance to answer it, I apologize. I try to go through as many of them as I can. If you still have a question or would like me to go over a specific topic, be sure to leave it in the comments below. You might have noticed I'm calling this a pre-beta Q&A. I do plan on doing one after the beta so we can go over everything we've learned, so you can look forward to that. Otherwise, I want to tell you a little bit more about my new sponsor, LootCrate.com. Again, you can get 10% off a brand new subscription by visiting www.trylootcrate.com/futurefoe. Be sure to enter in code BRIDGE10 to get that 10% savings. Again, this month is all about animation. I know I'm definitely going to be picking it up. It has things from Rick and Morty and one of my favorite shows of all time, Futurama. Be sure to use that URL so they know that I sent you, and use that coupon code BRIDGE10 to get 10% off. Anyways, drop a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time. This is a pretty incredible way for us to remember our Destiny 1 journey into Destiny 2. I have to say my favorite is probably Saladin's Pride, simply because you see all 4 raids in the background behind the menu. That is pretty epic, and it's probably going to be the one I use most often.